We had another document dump. Surprised that it comes right before Holder's going to testify?
Well, I think they're trying to look like they're being cooperative. But, the Inspector General Office has told the Government Oversight and Reform Committee that they've reviewed 80,000 pages of documents and 100,000 emails relating to Fast and Furious. In comparison, Congress has just seen 5,000 pages.
Yeah, I mean, that really tells you how bad this really is. But I've got to ask you, because on the latest document dump, the Attorney General's Deputy Chief of Staff, Monty Wilkinson, says in an email that he alerted the Attorney General about the murder of Agent Brian Terry the day it happened, but he can't remember whether he followed up with that and told the AG that the guns found at the murder scene were linked to Fast and Furious. What do you take from all of that?
I think it just is inconceivable that a government agent dies. The AG is informed about it, and then when there's evidence that it's a result of one of their scams, that he doesn't find out about it. I mean, again, we're dealing with either utter incompetence or political dodging.
Yeah. I mean, because as you pointed out, why wouldn't one of Holder's senior officials go back to him and tell him about what happened, that these guns were linked to Operation Fast and Furious? Why wouldn't he do that?
And if somebody on my staff was so, again, incompetent is the word that comes to mind. I was trying to find a better word, as to not to tell me something that important, that person would not be working for me anymore.
Yeah. But, Holder's going to come back before your committee on Thursday, and I said, here we go again. I mean, do you really expect you're going to get anything new from him? I mean, he's become an expert at this, hasn't he?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm from South Texas, and when we have rodeos, there's the greased pig exhibit where the kids they grease up a pig, and you try to grab him, he just slips through your fingers. I'm afraid we may have Mr. Slippery in front of the OGR committee.
Yeah. What do you plan to do? I mean, any different strategy you have? I know you don't have to, show your hand, but what else can you do to get this man to tell you what you want to know? I mean, all we're asking for is the truth, and that's all the Terry family is asking for.
Well, I think what I'm going to attempt to do here is just highlight the mismanagement within the DOJ. There really are only two explanations, and I'm willing to listen to a third if Holder can come up with it. They're either incompetent or they're 100% politically motivated, and what we've got here is a big old honker cover-up.
But I've got to ask you, as you said, you've only gotten the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how many documents you really should have in your hands. But the more that's revealed, is it more obvious every single time that Holder's staff, key officials, top officials on that staff knew what was going on, that guns were being walked?
Well, this last document dump, you certainly see he knew more about Terry's death than was let on in earlier testimony. And you take into account you've got senior DOJ attorneys in the field, Mr. Cunningham in particular, refusing to testify, claiming the right to avoid self-incrimination. I mean, this is a government lawyer who is so concerned about what's going on, he's unwilling to testify because he thinks there was a crime committed.
Yeah.
This should tell you something.
Yeah.
And, he's not testifying to a court. He's testifying to his bosses, the American people.
Yeah. And as you said, he's, Cunningham saying he was going to take the fifth. And I know when we were talking to Congressman Gowdy, he was saying, I'm a prosecutor. I've never heard of such a thing happening.
No, it makes absolutely no sense. We're not even looking at it. This was to find out what was going on with the Justice Department. We're not particularly looking for something criminal here. But, if there's smoke, which I think claiming the fifth is smoke, maybe we need to start looking for the fire.
Yeah, I mean, there was also other emails that were just released, and I don't know if you got a chance to see these, but they show that Lanny Brewer, the head of the criminal division at DOJ, suggested to Mexican officials to let some illicit straw buyers in the U.S. transport their guns across the border. into Mexico where they could be arrested because he said it may send a strong message to armed traffickers. But DOJ claims Mexico didn't know about Fast and Furious.
All I've seen is a summary of those documents. We've been back in our districts over the weekend since those came. I will be back in D.C. Tomorrow,
Okay.
and I'm looking forward to getting more than just the 5-page summary from the committee.
But you got another hearing. What do you think it's going to take? Are we going to need to have a special prosecutor? Where do you think we're going with this?
I think we're going to have to look at something. It's pretty clear that the culture in the Justice Department is such that they're not going to thoroughly investigate it themselves. When you got it's tough to go after the guy at top. You need somebody from the outside to do that. A special prosecutor might be a way to do it. But what just absolutely amazes me is that as more and more of this comes out, Holder just digs in deeper and deeper. I mean, it's pretty clear that the buck has got to stop somewhere. And had it been me, I would have been long gone by now. I would have resigned in disgrace with my head in my tail, and headed back home.
All righty, Congressman. Thanks so much for taking the time. We'll see what happens on Thursday.
I'm not holding my breath, but the honorable thing to do is to come clean and name names.